Once again, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for this webinar about Women's Equality Day. We're very happy to host you today, and with that, I would like to pass this to our presenters, Sylvia and Sarah. Sarah, I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Trying to be careful there. Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us today for celebrating Women's Equality Day and the webinar. Just a little bit about myself. I'm Sarah, and I work for Thirdera in talent acquisition. I'm also part of the Women at Thirdera group, where we work internally to connect, inspire, and empower women into the technology ecosystem and around the world through different strategies. I will be the host of the first part of the session today to share thoughts and key milestones and about women who have achieved throughout history and other main facts about women in tech.
Hi, my name is Silvia Bonilla, and I work at Thirdera as Talent Development Manager. Like Sarah, I am part of the Women of Thirdera group, and today I will be hosting the last part, that is the session that we're going to do the trivia. We're going to learn while we have fun. I hope you enjoy. Sarah, back to you.
Thanks, Sylvia. Some of the clues for the trivia will be in my sharing on some of the history of a Women's Equality Day, so I hope you enjoy. Today is a celebration of women's equality of the achievements on the incredibly long and ongoing journey for women and equal rights. The history of women's suffrage is deep and wrought with many obstacles faced by multiple generations of women. Women's equality started over 70 years before the ratified 19th Amendment that took place in 1920. In 1848, with Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott, who campaigned for the women's right to vote, starting the very first women's convention in Seneca Falls, New York. Truly, it has been a marathon of a journey and continues to this day, not just a century, but the beginnings over 172 years ago. The National Women's Suffrage Association was formed as they lobbied for an amendment that included the right of women to vote at the state level, not just the national amendment. The suffrage movement split, though, on stance of the 15th Amendment that brought the right to vote for Black men after the Civil War. However, the split sides of the American suffrage movement merged again years later in 1890 with the American Women's Suffrage Association. The 19th Amendment is often called the Susan B. Anthony or the Anthony Amendment. She was the president of the National Women's Suffrage Association from 1892 to 1900. Her work was the foundation of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. Susan B. Anthony died in 1906, so she didn't get to actually see it come to fruition. The history of the first gatherings of the National Women's Suffrage Association is a story of the endurance of pressure, all the women that rallied and campaigned for suffrage. Even though we may look at 1920 as a key moment, it is imperative to understand that the history is more recent for all women. The right to vote was not until 1965. The 19th Amendment was an important achievement for the women's movement. However, it is more important to note that women of color continued fighting for the right to vote until the ratification of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act of 1965, signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson, which supported the right to vote for women of color, was truly when we realized the right to vote for all women. In 1970, women in the US went on strike for equality, August 26, 1970, which celebrated the 19th Amendment on its 50th anniversary. Change is accelerating. Even though in the 102 years since the 19th Amendment was ratified, we've made headway with reproduction rights, equal pay, workers' rights, education rights, gender and racial equity, and female representation in leadership, areas once considered untouchable and undebatable. These ongoing accomplishments reflect the strong, talented, and resilient women that lead the charges in the past through today. The fight for gender equality began over a century ago, and it continues as we move to close the gap that still exists. Fortunately, accomplishing that vision seems more within reach these days. As advocates of differing gender, ethnicity, and nationality have been using their collective voices and resources to accelerate the push for equal rights. Our world is changing slowly, but in certain places, women in leadership and powerful positions are visibly accelerating. Here are some of the notable voices in the US today. In the political arena, we have our first woman VP in the US, Kamala Harris, who took office January 20th of 2021. We also have an historical number of women who took offices in our 117th Congress. Nancy Pelosi is our Speaker of the House. Elizabeth Warren is a notable US Senator. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's the US rep for the New York 14th District, very visible young woman. Katie Porter, US rep of California, 45th District, excellent. And Gretchen Esther Whitmer, the governor of Michigan as well. And Sharice David, Kansas 3rd District, and Deb Haaland, our 54th United States Secretary of the Interior. All very visible and notable women. There are many others, but those are some notable ones. Around the globe, we also have significant leadership of women. Today, they include top leadership positions throughout the world that have shown us that the trends toward equality with empowered voices. When women in leadership positions becomes the trend, we are collectively moving closer to a day of true equality for women. Each generation emerges with greater participation in the decisions that impact the lives of women. Some of these around the globe include Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand, Sanna Marin in Finland. We had Angela Merkel for many years in Germany, and also Francia Marquez out of Colombia, who's the first Black vice president. So really excellent to see that, yeah? So the trends as we move into look in technology, there's some interesting studies that have recently done with research by Deloitte. And Deloitte did this report, and I wanted to grab this just to kind of show this trend. And the overall workforce from 2019 to 2022, there was a gain of 6.9%. And in the technical roles, we see women gaining 11%, 11.7%. And then leadership roles gaining 19.5% overall from 2019 to 2022. So the large technology companies show a steady increase of female leadership representation and in the workforce. So this is excellent news for us. And in addition to that, women in college, the graduation trends, we are seeing women trending higher in percentages to complete their college education. And collectively, we are still learning why this is the case, why this trend is unfolding. This is according to a Wall Street Journal article, September of 2021. So it's fairly recent information and data. So at the close of the 2021 academic year, women made up 59.5% of college students, an all-time high, and men 40.5%, according to enrollment data from the National Student Clearinghouse. And they're a nonprofit research group for U.S. That's where this information comes from. U.S. colleges and universities had 1.5 million fewer students compared with 5 years ago, and men accounted for 71% of the decline. That's very interesting. Women in technology, kind of looking at these trends. Women are a clear minority in the STEM workforce, though this is through U.S. Census data shows a significant gains between 1970 and 2019. We have 8% in women in STEM workers in 1970 and up to 27% in 2019. Only 31% of IT employees are women, according to the Gartner research. Of course, there is still substantial work to do to make that expectation a true reality, but if women believe they can reach their goals in the workplace, that's the most significant accomplishment that we should celebrate on Women's Equality Day. Women in technology and in the business and also leadership we've seen women becoming thought leaders as well. We have the CEO of General Motors, Mary Barra. We have Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook, now Meta, and Susan Wojcicki, who has been the CEO of YouTube since 2014. And recently, Whitney Wolfe Herd is a 31-year-old founder and CEO of an online dating site called Bumble. And she joined the list of self-made billionaires after bringing the company public in 2021. So it's great to see this happening. These are just a few examples, but the greatest accomplishment in these past recent years is the realization that young girls and women no longer feel there is a glass ceiling that limits their potential. Most young women are rightfully confident that their gender should not stop them from reaching their dreams. Of course, there is still some substantial work to do to make that expectation a true reality. But if women believe they can reach their goals in the workplace, that's the most significant accomplishment that we should celebrate on Women's Equality Day. So how can you accelerate women's equality? There are 9 steps that we kind of looked at from another leader, Melinda French Gates. She noted with her team these 9 steps in an article written in 2021 of how we can work as individuals and actively engage in our daily lives to accelerate women's equality. The first one is to vote. Participate with your vote to elect the leaders in your country. Number 2, advocate for paid leave. Businesses don't have to wait for governments to start implementing family-friendly policies today. Encourage companies, the employers, to make paid leave available to all employees. This is especially important if you're a man. Evidence shows that men are more likely to take leave if they see their male bosses doing it. Number 3, start small in your organization. Rethink how you do things differently to consciously avoid bias. Think in your role what can be done and put it into practice in your organization. Like use inclusive vocabulary, opportunities assigned on merit, be aware of time zones when setting meetings, as simple as that. Just one thing, turn on captions to help the language and accent barriers as well. Number 4, be mindful of how narrow the pipeline is into your sector and get creative about new pathways through which women and people of color can enter. Internships are wonderful. Getting experience non-traditional candidates need to get opportunities in your industry. Number 5, be a mentor. Seek mentorship. Seek out a woman to mentor and consider starting a mentorship program to encourage your colleagues to do the same. Educate to go beyond standardized training. Go beyond mandatory sexual harassment and diversity trainings. If you want to signal that your company is serious about stopping this misconduct, fund the research to help identify best practices. One place is svri.org, and they have some information there about funding. Donate. If you're in a position to support these initiatives with your financial gifts and or your time, this helps close the gap. And if you have a local or a global foundation, you can just search for it as well. Just an example here in the United States, there is womenwhotech.org. They have a grants program, and also startupsavant.com, nonprofits section of their website also has some information. Number 8, support local and women-owned businesses. Research the companies you buy from and the business you patronize. And number 9, spread the word. Tell the stories about women. If you are a storyteller, a curator, an educator, a journalist, or a member of the entertainment industry, think critically about the stories you tell about women. Together, we can accelerate the vision into our reality. Together, we break down the idea that in the US, at least, it's 208 years away from the women's equality. Let's accelerate that. Women at Thirdera is how we're doing it at Thirdera. We're a strong community of women that are willing to connect, inspire, and empower women in tech and around the world through different strategies. It was the first diversity group to be created here. Women to Women Mentoring Program is also one of the many initiatives Women at Thirdera is doing. Women at Thirdera's mentoring program was created to be a safe space where women encourage each other to grow and support each other. Our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging, our DEIB program. Here at Thirdera, we are committed to cultivating an environment where all employees feel welcome and valued. Our DEIB program is underpinned by our corporate values. These are the cornerstone of its approach and where it stands for building and fostering a culture where everyone can bring their true selves to work. Don't forget to join our LinkedIn group, ServiceNow Women in Tech Community. You can find us on LinkedIn. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. And let's go. Let's have some fun with the trivia.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, let's start the game. So these are some instructions so you can participate through your mobile. And you can follow the instructions while I'm going to share the pin game. All right. Perfect. We have some participants already. So through your mobile or your laptop, you can join www.kahoot.it, and then you can enter the pin game and your nickname, or you just need to scan the QR code there. Let's wait a couple of minutes. We have 32 participants in the call and 21 in the game. So let's wait 1 minute more. While I welcome you to this educational trivia about Women's Equality Day. The purpose of this game is to learn while we are having fun. As a prize, the winner will be able to choose a foundation that works for women, so we as a company can make a donation. So the main purpose is to have fun and to learn. Okay. 24 participants. Anyone wants to join? All right, I think that we have a good number of participants, so let's start it. Remember that the correct answer and then the faster answer has more points, so be very attentive. Let's get started. In what year did women get the right to vote? Perfect, 1920. We have 3 winning this first question. The first state in the US where women could vote in a national election was? Wyoming. Let's see the board. Now we have AA in the first place. Who was the first woman to be US Secretary of State? This woman was an American diplomatic and politician scientist who served as US Secretary of State from 1997 to 2001. Perfect. Most of you have a good answer. When did US Congress expanded Women History Week to a whole month? (1987). Go to the next one. Argentine politician, activist, and philanthropist who served as First Lady and fought for poor and women's suffrage. Great, most of you got a good answer. Perfect. This woman was the Prime Minister of United Kingdom more than 11 years. So this woman is known also as Iron Man Lady, Prime Minister of UK from 1979 to 1990. Yes, Margaret Thatcher. True or false? Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India for 2 terms. Yes, it is true. What was the first country that granted women the right to vote? Let's see. What do you think? New Zealand. August 26 is celebrated as Women Equality Day to commemorate. So if you pay attention of what Sarah shared just now, you have the correct answer. Perfect. It's the anniversary of the Women the right to vote. Let's go. Which constitutional amendment granted US women suffrage? Also, this was mentioned in the first part of the session. 19th Amendment. That's correct. We come to the top again. She's on fire. In some regions, the Women's Day is celebrated wearing ribbons of which color? Yes, it is purple. What did Rosa Parks fight for? Be aware there are 2 good answers, so make sure you select both. Yes, it was civil rights and freedom of Black citizens in the US. Oh, the word just changed. Let's see. This famous woman overcame blindness, deafness. She gave many speeches and wrote several books. In the image, there is a hint, so perfect. Almost everyone got it right. Let's go to the next one. Who is this woman? Guatemala's Nobel Prize winner. That's right, it was Rigoberta Menchú. The board is changing again. Women who worked for women's right to vote were called. That's correct. But at that time, they were called all of these answers. What is the gender wage gap in US as for 2022? That's right, 17%. This is very easy. What is the official color for Women's Equality Day? We have a previous question that maybe you can relate to have this as a correct answer. It was purple. That's right. And the last question. What is the name of the group on LinkedIn we use to share relevant information about women? Remember, Sarah told us and recommended us to join in the last slide. That's right, ServiceNow Women in Tech Community. So let's see who is the winner. Astrid, third place. Well done. Nicole, second place. And Vicky is our winner. Awesome. So if you can chat your name so we can contact UCP, so we can select the foundation in order to make the donation. Thank you all for participating.
Thank you. It was fun.
Thank you all. It was amazing. Thank you all for joining us and celebrating with us today. And I wanted to thank our presenters, Sylvia and Sarah. Ladies, you did wonderful. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you at our next webinar.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.